Hey, my lovely students. Good afternoon or good evening or whenever you're watching this and listening to this. This is part two of our Industrial Revolution notes. This is the two phases of the Industrial Revolution, which begs our essential question for this presentation. What are the two phases of the Industrial Revolution? Well, that's kind of the giveaway. So that's what we're going to focus on during this little brief present. And we're going to get right after it, people. Now, some of this will be review. We talked a lot last week about the beginnings of the Industrial Revolution in the United Kingdom, or some people want to focus more on the province of the UK called England. And there were some things that characterize phase one of the Industrial Revolution, which began roughly around 1750. First of all, you have in England this abundance of mineral resources, which is going to be really important for the development of the Industrial Revolution in that place, in that time. I think that just looks kind of like gravel. I was looking for a good image of minerals, and that's what I came up with. I think it's kind of pretty. Now, before you could have a population increase, which is going to happen thanks to the Industrial Revolution, you have to have this dramatic increase in agricultural productivity. And if you really followed last week, it used to be that land was just kind of farmed communally by anyone. There was like common fields that anyone could farm on, and that changed. The enclosure movement meant that public lands got sacrificed for private land. They got fenced off. Now, as a result of that, there was this tremendous leap in agricultural productivity, more food, more people. And that's what we're going to talk about next, massive population increase. You realize the population of the Earth was at 1 billion in roughly 1800, and it took from the dawn of time until 1800 for the population of the Earth to get to 1 billion, and now we're at 9 billion. So since the last 200 years, there's been an incredible increase in population, thanks in large part to the Industrial Revolution. And one of the things that made England so perfectly placed for this Industrial Revolution, their stable government meant that investors were willing to invest large quantities of money, and they got this wonderful return from their investment. But England was perfectly placed in a perfect position for the Industrial Revolution. And the early Industrial Revolution focused on the industry called textiles, which is cloth making. This is a picture from Pakistan today, and I just love this picture with all the beautiful colors. But it used to be that all clothing was made either in the United States or the United Kingdom. That is not the case today. I challenge you to check out the labels on the clothing you wear right now. It's not made in the UK or the United States. There might be a few exceptions, but that's generally not the case. But in the early days of the Industrial Revolution, it was all made in the UK or the United States. And it was prior to the Industrial Revolution. This is an important concept. Where you lived, the little place where you lived, was nothing more than a factory. You would go home. You probably didn't go to school, but you would go home, and then you would be expected to work, even as a kid, for long periods of time in your home, manufacturing these products that you would sell to some type of supplier. And it wasn't a tremendously efficient system, and it wasn't a very nice way to live. Think of your house right now. If you think it's dirty now, think about what it would have been like if it would have been in like an industrial shop floor. Now, here is probably the most significant invention of mankind. This is the year 1782. The character is James Watt. You see him right here. This dude looking pretty intense right here on the right. That's Big James right there with his nice little 1780 comb over. Got a bunch of hair over here, wraps it over the top. Love it. Now, prior to James Watt's invention, which is the steam engine, this is the way things were done. I love this image. You have this little, I don't know what that is. I just think it's cute. But you got this water wheel right here. And this water wheel creates power that does whatever's needed inside this little structure. And that's the way any type of manufacturing facility was. You had to place it right beside a stream, and the stream turned the water wheel, and the water wheel powered the machinery inside. And if it was a time of drought, then that production facility was not very productive. If it was a time of flooding, then it's probably a pretty dangerous place to be. But you had to locate it there beside the stream. That was your only option. And then James Watt created this steam engine. And with the steam engine meant that you could locate the factory anywhere you wanted. Now that's really revolutionary. And you know, the steam powered this piston, which powered this little lever right here, which pulled this up and down. So this is a big deal, a huge deal in the Industrial Revolution. Now, in the early 1800s, the Industrial Revolution is so successful in the United Kingdom, it starts to spread to other parts of the world. And the first place it spread, this is Western Europe. Here would be the United Kingdom right here. This would be Spain, France, Italy, Germany. This would be Scandinavia, Norway and Sweden and Finland. So this is where the Industrial Revolution is going to spread to. It's going to spread from here to here. But it's also going to spread to the United States of America, which was a new country in the early 1800s. From the UK, textile mills start to spring up here, particularly in New England. And that becomes the beginnings of the Industrial Revolution in the United States. But it happened after the Industrial Revolution happened in the United Kingdom. I love this image. You guys are probably too young to really be cognizant of this, but the Olympic Games took place in London, England in the year 2012. And they had this opening ceremony, which was this history of the United Kingdom. And it was a lot more interesting than the Olympics was. But here's the deal, man. A big part of the history of England was the Industrial Revolution. And this wonderful image of the Olympic game opening ceremonies in 2012 is paying homage to the Industrial Revolution and what a huge impact it had on the United Kingdom and the world. So, you know, the skyscrapers, the smokestacks have been built. The Industrial Revolution has spread to some other countries. The year is 1880. And now the Industrial Revolution is going to take this remarkable turn or transformation. It's going to become a lot more productive. I mean, tremendously more productive. And one of the primary reasons for that is the introduction of steel. Now, steel is made from coal and iron ore, both found in abundance in the UK and the United States. But what makes steel different as opposed to the older iron is it's stronger, it's lighter, it's cheaper, it's more flexible, and it doesn't rust like iron did. I mean, obviously it'll rust at some point, but here's the thing, man, it is so much more, it's a far superior product than the old iron. And this is going to be the backbone of the Industrial Revolution. Most things are going to be made with this wonderful new technology. Now, certainly steam engines were incredibly significant, but what happens next is the harnessing of electricity and the use of electricity by man to power almost everything, like my voice right now. Now, many of you guys might find it shocking, no pun intended. I know, I'm not just a teacher, I'm a transformer. Okay, look, man, I know that there are positives and negatives to electric humor, so I'll just stop right now, but it's my only outlet. Okay, I promise. I'll switch to another topic. Stop it! Okay, now, when it came to electricity, not only could you locate factories anywhere, you could also run them in the dark. And electricity is a heck of a lot cheaper than steam power. And this was one of the biggest innovations in the standard of living of mankind, the harnessing of electricity to use for cheap electric power. Okay, so we have steel, we have electricity, but there's also going to be this transportation revolution that takes place in the 1800s. Now, what's really interesting, this is going to take two forms primarily. It's going to be railroads and cars. This is a really cool picture here. This shows you one of the earliest steam engines. This is from Belgium, years 1835. These early steam engines probably would travel about, I don't know, 10 to 20 miles an hour tops. But you have to understand, I mean, that was a quantum leap in terms of transportation. And by the Civil War in the 1860s, trains were traveling in the 20 to 30 miles an hour. And there were railroads all over the United States, particularly in the Northeast. And then the late 1800s going into the 1900s, you're going to see the innovation of the automobile. Well, most Americans who are, I don't know, pretty chauvinistic think that Henry Ford developed the automobile. He did not. Henry Ford developed the assembly line, which made the production of the automobile more efficient. But this is Carl Benz, Mercedes-Benz, you may have heard of that. Benz made the internal combustion engine. This is one of the first world cars. This is 1894 Germany. That's just awesome. It's got bicycle tires on it. And also with transportation, with cheaper power and cheaper building material comes an amazing revolution in communication, which, we're experiencing the tail end of it. Well, maybe not the tail end of it. We're experiencing a significant part of that revolution with the computer revolution, the information age. But let's take a look at this. This right here was a telegraph. Now, the telegraph, I don't think you guys can even grasp how revolutionary this was. Just like dots and dashes, true. I mean, you had to have like certain people who had to understand how to read this Morse code, the dots and dashes that were being sent. But these were sent over telegraph lines with electric power, which would go at the speed of light. And so as long as you had a line strung from point A to point B, they could talk to each other. That was a big deal. Before that, you had to send a message on a ship, or put a message on a horse, have the horse run to point A to point B. This was a huge deal, the telegraph. And then from the telegraph, we get the telephone. This is a wonderful picture here. This is Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone, years 1892, and he's doing the first long-distance telephone call from New York to Chicago. And they probably got into an argument over the telephone. Or maybe the guy that he was phoning was trying to drive his car and wrecked it. So that was like the first texting accident. Okay, so phase one of the Industrial Revolution was significant, but so was phase two, baby. Thank you.